It started with a clip no one could trace. A shaky live stream, a dim room, voices speaking Spanish over muffled music. By dawn, hashtags reading hashtag House of Horrors and hashtag Instagram live torture trended across Argentina. People claimed 3 missing girls had been tricked into a fake party outside Buenos Aires, and that the stream showed what happened next. But when reporters went looking, there was no police record, no families, no confirmed victims. Still, screenshots kept circulating, and outrage filled the streets. How did a story with no evidence cause a nation to panic? Tonight, we trace the origins of the viral nightmare everyone believed, and ask why some horrors don't need to be real to feel real. By the time the sun rose over Buenos Aires, the clip had already vanished. Only screenshots remained, grainy frames passed through Telegram groups and late-night Twitter threads. Within hours, the same images appeared on Spanish-language Reddit boards, each claiming a different origin: Instagram Live, TikTok Live, even a private WhatsApp broadcast. Reporters from Clarin and La Nation began cross-checking the usernames tagged in the posts. Every profile led to a dead link or a new account created that same night. The metadata embedded in the screenshots showed nothing but recycled coordinates, cell tower data pointing to random suburbs miles apart at noon. Police cybercrime units issued a brief statement. We have no missing persons matching the names circulating online. But the public had already decided otherwise. Influencers posted reaction videos calling it Argentina's House of Horrors. Protesters gathered outside the Ministry of Justice demanding arrests for a crime that officially didn't exist behind the scenes. Journalists traced the rumor to a closed Discord server known for sharing urban legend found footage. There they found the same 27-second clip, watermarked with a handle registered in Spain months earlier. No one could confirm who filmed it or when. By the end of the week, the outrage had evolved into folklore. Street artists painted murals of the 3 supposed victims. YouTubers built timelines from rumor alone. It became a digital ghost story, a blend of real fear and collective imagination. The more investigators proved it wasn't real, the more people believe that proof itself was part of the cover-up. The House of Horrors had crossed from rumor into myth, fueled not by evidence but by emotion. And in 2025, emotion spreads faster than truth. By the second week, the rumor had become a full-scale media obsession. Morning shows replayed the same blurred screenshots, anchors speaking with urgency but offering nothing new. Public trust in official denials evaporated. The question was no longer if the crime had happened, but who was covering it up inside the cybercrime division of Buenos Aires. Investigators built a task force to trace the digital fingerprint of the video. They collected over 1,000 shared links, most pointing to mirrors on obscure file hosting sites. Each upload led back to a chain of VPN-protected addresses stretching across Brazil, Spain, and the Philippines. A young analyst noticed something odd. The footage's codec wasn't consistent with Instagram's compression standards. It had been edited, metadata from 2 separate devices stitched together. Whoever created the clip wanted it to look like a live stream. Meanwhile, local activists held vigils for the supposed victims. Hand-painted banners carried their names through the streets. When police confirmed the identities were fake, Protesters accused them of lying. In the era of misinformation, disbelief had become the default defense mechanism. International outlets picked up the story, calling it Latin America's first AI-generated urban legend. Some experts suggested the clip could have been a synthetic composite, fragments of older videos algorithmically merged to evoke panic. But no agency could prove it definitively. By month's end, the investigation produced a 78-page report concluding there was no verifiable crime, no confirmed victims, and no physical address tied to the story. Still, hashtags persisted online. House of Horrors no longer referred to a location, but a feeling, a symbol of how easily fear can masquerade as truth for investigators. It was the first case where digital forensics couldn't find evidence because the evidence itself had never existed. As investigators traced the digital trail, a different kind of evidence began to emerge. The people who had amplified the story across Argentina, hundreds of new accounts appeared within 24 hours of the first tweet. They all used the same keywords, the same phrasing: 3 girls, fake party, Instagram live. Cyber analysts noticed that many profiles had profile pictures generated by AI. The usernames mixed Spanish and English, suggesting a coordinated effort rather than organic outrage. Some accounts vanished after a single post. Others reposted the rumor every hour, tagging journalists and local officials, until it trended again. Researchers at the University of Buenos Aires ran sentiment analysis and discovered that more than half the activity came from automated networks located outside the country. Someone or something wanted Argentina to believe in a crime that never happened. Meanwhile, real people filled the vacuum. Small-town influencers claimed insider knowledge. YouTube commentators uploaded timeline breakdowns, complete with dramatic thumbnails and looping music. Each upload blurred the line between activism and entertainment. For sociologists studying digital panic, the House of Horrors became a textbook case. It showed how outrage, when fueled by fear of injustice, can be weaponized. The more the government denied the story, the more convincing the myth became. By early June, major platforms began suspending the most aggressive accounts. But by then, the damage was done, trust fractured, communities polarized. Even months later, when every image had been debunked, the belief remained. People no longer argued about what was true. They argued about who had the right to decide. In a hyper-connected world, identity itself had become the ultimate viral currency, and the victims of the House of Horrors were proof that even ghosts can trend. By mid-June, Argentina had turned against its own reflection. News anchors who once repeated the rumor now questioned how they had been fooled. The same talk shows that fueled panic began inviting experts on digital manipulation and crisis psychology. The public mood shifted from outrage to embarrassment inside the Ministry of Justice. A media ethics commission convened hearings to study the event. They discovered that most of the viral screenshots originated from a single marketing agency that specialized in viral shock content. The company had sold engagement packages to fringe political groups seeking online traction. The House of Horrors narrative had been their most successful campaign. When journalists confronted the agency's director, he denied intent to deceive. "We only made people feel something," he said. The quote became headline material in a national mirror. protest groups reassembled, this time carrying placards reading, "We believed a lie." They demanded stricter oversight of digital advertising, new transparency laws, and public education on identifying fabricated stories. Hashtags that once spread panic now carried tutorials about verification. Internationally, universities cited the Argentina case in papers on collective hallucination. The phenomenon was simple. When fear meets connectivity, belief becomes contagious. The internet had not just transmitted emotion. It had manufactured consensus. Weeks later, the government launched Project Lucides, a cross-agency initiative teaching digital literacy in schools. Students learned how to trace sources, read metadata, and question viral posts before sharing. The goal wasn't censorship, it was inoculation. For Argentina, the House of Horrors ended not as a criminal case, but as a lesson in collective psychology. Truth, it seemed, now required as much defense as justice once did. By July 2025, the rumor had outgrown its birthplace. Clips labeled House of Horrors Argentina appeared on foreign forums, subtitled in multiple languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese. Comment sections merged into one endless thread of disbelief and fascination. In the U.S., Digital Culture Podcast dissected it as proof of post-truth storytelling. European newsrooms compared it to earlier internet hoaxes, the Momo Challenge, the Blue Whale game, except this time the lie had been political. Think tanks warned that emotional misinformation was becoming the new export commodity. Fact-checking groups from Mexico City to Madrid collaborated to trace how the story jumped borders. They found entire copycat versions in other countries, each relocalized. New names, new cities, same pattern. It was a meme disguised as mourning. In Asia, psychology professors used the case in lectures on mass suggestion, describing how shared outrage releases dopamine spikes similar to fear. Students realized they had felt the event before they had even seen evidence of it. Social media companies issued transparency reports showing the video never existed on their servers. That absence itself became suspicious. Conspiracy forums claimed the footage had been erased by governments, reinforcing belief through denial. Meanwhile, Argentine artists began reclaiming the myth. They staged gallery installations projecting the fake screenshots onto walls of mist, forcing visitors to confront how easily pixels can impersonate pain. What began as hysteria evolved into reflection. By autumn, the House of Horrors wasn't a crime story anymore. It was case zero for a global study on digital empathy. Researchers called it the ghost of evidence. Its legacy wasn't the fear it spread, but the question it left behind. If feeling something makes it real to us, what happens when truth becomes optional? By the start of 2026, the phrase House of Horrors had settled into digital folklore. New myths replaced it, but echoes remained. Hashtags revived whenever outrage needed a vessel. What began as a rumor about 3 missing girls had transformed into a study in how stories outlive their sources. In Buenos Aires, the government archived the investigation files under Proyecto Lucides. They're used now in media literacy workshops. High school students reenact the timeline of the hoax, pausing where verification should have happened. The goal isn't to shame belief, but to teach caution. Journalists who covered the panic admit it changed their craft. Breaking news no longer means being first, it means being certain. Several outlets now employ verification editors whose only job is to slow the newsroom down. On social media, a small counter-movement emerged. Creators making calm content videos that replace fear with explanation. They remix the same images once used to mislead, overlaying them with facts and citations. What was once a ghost story has become a case study in digital hygiene. For Argentina, the legacy of the House of Horrors isn't a tragedy measured in lives lost, but in truth almost lost. The rumor never had victims, yet it wounded collective trust, the invisible tissue holding a society together. Every few months, a new clip surfaces claiming to be the real footage. It trends briefly, then fades. But in that brief flare of attention lies the memory of 2025, when a nation learned that even fiction can leave a scar. And somewhere between skepticism and empathy lies the hardest truth of all. We don't fear monsters in the dark anymore. We fear how easily we create them. If you thought the horror ended here, you're wrong. What other dark rituals and forbidden practices are still being performed in secret? Dive deeper into the chilling world of haunted ceremonies, banned footage, and eerie folklore that refuses to stay buried. Click on the playlist to uncover terrifying recordings, lost evidence, and disturbing stories they never wanted you to see. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for weekly uploads of spine-tingling footage and dark tales that echo from the shadows. This is the Forbidden's Archive, where the hidden truth and haunting evidence come to life.